Hello, hello. Welcome to the Ubuntu Community Q&A, otherwise known as the Alan and Daniel Show.
Oh, yeah.
So, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good, good.
Super.
All right. So, if you're watching this through Ubuntu on Air, there's the video feed. Below that, you have the chat widget where you enter your favorite nickname, hit the connect button, and then you can talk to us. And we love questions, so please ask them all. Just make sure you prefix them with question in all caps so we can more easily pick them up. We had a couple of things we wanted to mention before we get to the questions, right?
Yep. Shall I start?
Sure.
So next week, we're going to be away. We're going to travel over to the Netherlands, to The Hague, where we're having a sprint. We have these sprints fairly regularly within Canonical, and the main topic of conversation at this one is Snappy related and all things related to Snappy. So we'll be there. I don't know if we'll have a Q&A next week. Maybe, maybe not. Depends if we can fit it in amongst all the meetings. Our schedule is pretty fully booked next week. But myself and Daniel and Mike will all be there amongst a bunch of other people and a few community people as well from outside Canonical who are invited along to participate. We did this a couple of months ago in Heidelberg, invited some community people along, and their input was super valuable to progressing the whole Snappy platform. So we've invited some of them back and some new people as well. Not everyone we invited could come, unfortunately, personal commitments and all that kind of stuff, but it's good to see the people who will be there. We're looking forward to making a lot of progress on snaps. We'll report back from there, I think, next week with status updates and progress reports and all that kind of stuff of what's going on. So you can find out exactly what we're doing and what we're talking about and all that kind of good stuff. And I expect some of the people we've invited to come along will probably also be blogging and posting on social media and all that kind of stuff. But we'll raise the volume of those people as we see them next week.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. We're going to have not just the Snappy people there, but also the desktop people, the phone people, and everyone is going to figure out how to get everything together for the next release. And it's usually like a lot of running around from one hotel room to another. So we'll try to do our best to report back from there. Yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah, we tend to take a lot of notes during sessions and then have to kind of decompress those notes, over the course of the week and the following week. Don't necessarily expect status updates immediately because often we spend the evening decompressing in the bar, which I'm also looking forward to.
Same here. Yeah, usually the conversation already started at breakfast. And between meetings where you discuss what went well, what do we need to improve, bug review, priorities, all that kind of stuff, people get together and hack on stuff and do a proof of concept, and it's usually pretty crazy what people get up to and work on together. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Cool. Also, this week I believe we have an Ubuntu release. They come around so fast. It's like only last week we were talking about 1604 and now 1610's almost out the door. And I think probably the main thing that people will notice in 1610 is the addition of a Unity 8 session. It's not the default. Unity 7 is still there. So if you do a clean install of Ubuntu 1610 from a USB key or whatever, you'll find the Unity 7 desktop is still there that you know and love. But in addition to which, at the logon screen, you can change the session and choose Unity 8. It's not completely ready for everyone. It doesn't cover every use case. It doesn't have every single application you could possibly want. But it's a great way to test out Unity 8 on different hardware with different resolutions and different video drivers and different CPUs to see what the performance is like. and also, you know, try out the actual user environment itself and see how that goes. So it's more like a kind of preview of what Unity 8 is like on the desktop. So give that a go, either on a spare machine, or if you want to stick on 1604, then you could install this on a different machine if you're lucky enough to have more than one machine, or maybe in a VM. Currently, Unity 8 doesn't work in every virtual machine platform. I know it works in QEMU or KVM, and I'm told it also works in VMware Fusion, but the one it doesn't work in is VirtualBox. So bear that in mind. It also works better on free software video drivers as well. So if you have an Intel-based device, or if you're using the Nouveau graphics driver with NVIDIA cards, then that should work pretty well. But as always, we recommend people test this stuff out and report bugs in the appropriate places. I mean, much of our development team have been using Unity 8 for some months now, so you might actually find that whatever bugs you uncover have already been reported and are well known to the developers and are on their radar for, you know, being fixed before the next release. But it's certainly worth testing it out and you know, clicking the Me Too on the bug if it's something that's you know, particularly egregious to yourself.
Yeah, this is also a good time if you plan to get together with your friends and have a couple of beers on the Ubuntu release. Now's a good time to plan that. You still have until Thursday to tell everyone. But also let your local know if you plan to do any of these. Right. Another thing that's happening relatively soon is Ubuntu Online Summit. So 15th and the 16th of November is when we all get together. We have loads of sessions online. They're all going to be about celebrating the great new stuff in 1610, but also a lookout on the stuff that's new, some discussion sessions. It's all going to happen online. And we're still in the process of putting the schedule together, but I know of a couple of sessions I'm looking forward to already, and I still need to add them to the schedule. But yeah, 15th and 16th of November, that's when it's happening.
Cool. And the final thing to mention is in between the sprint next week and UbuCon in mid-November is, and UOS is UbuCon, which is the beginning of November in Essen in Germany. That's right, isn't it? 5th, 6th, 7th, something like that.
I thought it was the weekend after Online Summit.
Is it? Oh, shows how much I know.
That's just how I remember it.
Because I need to organize my my ticket. Yeah, you're right, 18th and 20th. I don't know why I thought it was...
So if you're doing a session at US, you can probably reuse that for UbuCon Europe.
Yes, 18, 19, 20, just to be clear, 18, 19, 20th in Essen in Germany at Unperfect House, which sounds excellent. We'll all be there. Along with a whole bunch of community people. I see there's a Telegram chat where people talk about UbuCon, and I've seen people discussing their various accommodation arrangements, and I've seen there's a whole bunch of people from the French loco coming over and staying in an Airbnb. I think there's 7 of them staying in one house, which I'm sure will be excellent fun. I'm sure that's a great house to be in. But yeah, come on over, see us, and we can have some fun at UbuCon Europe.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We're going to have loads and loads of great speakers, people not working for Canonical, but who've been with Ubuntu for ages already, people who work in the OpenStack and cloud world. We have loads of devices, people from Canonical there. We have Jane Silber, like there's going to be loads of speakers. It's going to be really, really nice. So if you're in Europe, come to Essen.
Cool. Should we get on with the questions? So ask your questions in #Ubuntu-on-air on IRC, or if you're at ubuntuonair.com, then you can just type it into the box below. If you prefix it with question, it's easier for us to find. Ask your questions early, because often we find we run out of time and we have to burn through the questions at the end. So let's try and avoid doing that. First question. Actually, the first question is from Manish, who's asking a tech support question that we try and avoid doing in these kind of things because they're difficult to answer. This is not a great place for answering tech support questions. The best place for tech support questions, I'll give you 3 options. No, 4. Hell, I'll push the boat out. So the first one is Ubuntu Forums. UbuntuForums.org has been around for years and years and years. Tons of people who lurk there and answer technical support questions, who have lots and lots of experience of many releases of Ubuntu. So there's a great place. If you want somewhere different, then askubuntu.com is a good place to get tech support. Some people prefer Ask Ubuntu. Some people prefer vanilla forums. Just pick whichever one you prefer and use that. Another option is IRC. The #Ubuntu IRC channel is the official support channel, and there's hundreds of people in there. Ask you a question and then wait for someone to give you an answer. That's a great place to get support. I sometimes, when I'm having a cup of coffee, I'll sit in #Ubuntu and answer a few tech support questions myself. It's quite a nice way to give back to the community and give back to new users who are discovering problems or issues or whatever with their system. And the fourth one, there was a fourth one. Oh, the Ubuntu users mailing list. I think that still exists. I'm not on it anymore, but there's an Ubuntu users mailing list, which is on lists.ubuntu.com. And it's quite a high traffic mailing list, but there are people there who know their stuff and know how to solve problems with Ubuntu. So that's another good place to go. Did I miss any? I think those are the main 4 places. Yeah.
If we forgot some, I'm sure they are listed on community.ubuntu.com. It's also a good place where you can find links to documentation, how to get involved and all that. But we missed a question. Simon, who has to go to school right at this moment, Simon quickly asked the question like 3 or 4 hours ago already.
Sorry, I completely skipped over that one.
Yeah, and he wants us to discuss our naming choices for the 1704 release if we got to name that one. Not being a native speaker, I find it very hard to come up with a list of adjectives starting with Z, but I think I would be for the zebra as well. I was on holidays in Namibia, so loads and loads of zebras. We love them.
So for those who don't know, every release of Ubuntu has a code name, and its adjective animal is the format. You must know this by now. And the next release will be 1704, and the name gets chosen by Mark Shuttleworth, who is the project lead, and he generally tends to choose that sometime around the release of the previous release. So Yakety is coming out this week, so around about this week is when Mark will decide the name of the next release. And actually, there's a wiki page. If you go to wiki.ubuntu.com/development code names, where development code and names have got an uppercase first letter, you'll find there's a list of the release names that we had in the past, which might give you some inspiration for thinking of names in the future. And if you scroll all the way down, there are suggestions that people in the community have made for the next release. So I'm going to cheat and just click on 1704, and there's a few that people have chosen in there. Zealous Zebu, Zippy Zorro. I like Zippy Zorro. Zany Zebra, Zooming Zebra, Zesty Zander, Zigzag Zanzibar, Zestful Zebra. I like Zigzag Zanzibar. That's brilliant. And also it's got a hyphen in it. I don't think we've ever had any code names with hyphens in.
No,
I like the idea of adding apostrophes, strange characters like with graphs and umlauts in them and stuff like that. Because Fedora did this a little while ago when they had a release name called Schrodinger's Cat, and that had the 2 dots above an O, I think, in Schrodinger, and an apostrophe, apostrophe S. And apparently that broke a few things or uncovered some bugs in the Fedora build environment and the bug tracker and so on. So I fully approve of adding like wacky characters in there. So yeah, if there are any animal names which are, have those wacky characters, that would be awesome. I call them wacky characters because I don't understand them.
Yeah, if you have more crazy suggestions, let us know. We're going to read them out.
Yeah. I think the last one was predicted by, I think Cassidy from the Elementary Project blogged about what he thought one of the release names. I think it was Xenial. He predicted the Xenial one months ahead. And then when Mark chose that one, he was like, yep, called it. And so it'll be probably an easier one to do with Z because there's fewer animals and fewer adjectives to begin with. So yeah, Simon, I think we've covered that. What's the next question?
Chloe Wolfigo asked, did you ever watch Games Master? And did you ever want a Games Master golden joystick?
So Games Master was a TV program in the UK. I don't know if it was exported or remade elsewhere, where people would play computer games. And there was a couple of celebs on it. There was a guy called Patrick Moore, who is famous in the UK for having a program called The Sky at Night, which is all about astronomy and that kind of stuff. It's very popular, very, very long-running program. Unfortunately, Patrick Moore passed away a little while ago, but he was in it, and there was a guy called Dominic Diamond, and they would have people on playing computer games. It was a little bit after my time, I think. I'm a bit old for that, but yeah, I kind of did want a golden joystick, but I was never very good at computer games, so no chance. Dragonbite asks, can Unity 8 be made into a snap?
I think it's a brilliant suggestion.
It's a good idea.
Somebody should do that.
Yeah, and the guy who should do that is Kevin Gunn, and I think actually he's already working on that. So yes, someone should do that. That someone should be Kevin, and he's probably already a bit ahead of you. So yeah, I mean the goal is that everything within reason should be a snap. I mean, there are some things that don't make sense to have as snaps. Like individual utilities that you would expect to always be there, like sed and awk and stuff like that. But there are other things that make sense, like toolkits, graphical environments, web applications, frameworks that you use for developing web applications. These kind of things make sense. And yeah, I think Unity 8 is being worked on.
Yeah, I think it would make sense to separate this a little bit, so you would have a content snap which ships all the libraries and stuff, the stuff you would also need to, let's say, run the clock app, for example, so it could pull in that content snap as well. And then everything else could be a Unity 8 snap. And it would be nice to hook this up with Launchpad, so whenever there's, a full day of changes, it would run a new build and put it into the store, and you could just easily upgrade to it. Upgrade your phone to it, your desktop, whatever. Like, I think that would be brilliant.
Yeah, and most of that is already available. The work in Launchpad has already been done to do the automated builds and creating snaps from daily pull of whatever the latest branch you've got is. That kind of stuff works already, which is pretty cool. Yeah, cool. Next question is from guest 12, number 12 of the guests. And guest 12 asks, do Canonical do water tests on every Ubuntu phone before each OTA to see if there were improvements in water resistance? We don't do any of those physical tests because we don't make the hardware, we just make the software. It's a great idea. I'm not sure that any OTA update would ever. I think there was a little while ago, there was a joke that went around online that a version of iOS update made your phone waterproof, and there was people who may have fallen for that or may just be joking as well. But yeah, no, I don't think any of the phones that we've made so far have been waterproof. The highest end phone we've done so far is the Pro 5, and I'm not about to test that by dropping it in some liquid. Yeah, that's up to the hardware vendors.
I would love to work for that department. There would be water tests, concrete tests, all the important ones,
Yeah.
microwave tests.
I love when they do these trade shows like MWC and CES, and they have some new product out and shows how they can, their product is waterproof or indestructible or something, and then some reporter will come along with a camera and just take the phone and just smash it, and it's like, no, it's not. So yeah, I love that. Yeah, I would love that job as well. That's basically Dave Morley is our equivalent of those people who break stuff. Dave Morley is one of our prolific QA people who breaks software, makes it part of his job to break software, and he enjoys doing it. Chloe asks, what happened to the QTOX UTOX snap? So I made a QTOX snap, which I think I put it in the Snappy Playpen, I think, or did I not?
I can't remember.
I'm just looking through the extensive list in the Snappy Playpen. No, it doesn't look like I did. RST. No, it's not. Okay, so I will put it in the Snappy Playpen so people can play with it. But yeah, it kind of works. I haven't tested all the features, but and I haven't tested it for a little while. But yeah, thank you for the nudge. I will update it and put it in the Playpen so other people can play with it. What's the next question?
Rich R. Boo asked, with Google's Assistant in Pixel, are Ubuntu considering an assistant like Mycroft for Ubuntu Phone?
It's a good question. I don't think we've actively worked on an assistant. I know we previously talked about the HUD in past iterations, maybe having speech recognition, but I don't think anyone's worked on that recently.
Yeah, I don't know that either.
I have a Mycroft on order, which should arrive next month. So I'm looking forward to playing with that and see how well that works. And yeah, maybe we could get it working as a snap, and then it could be installable on a future Ubuntu phone. That would be cool. Dragonbite asks, will Ubuntu Mobile work on a Samsung Note 7? I hear they're having a fire sale. Ha ha ha. Comedy gold. Well, so the sensible answer is no, you shouldn't use a Note 7 apparently because they explode in a ball of fire. But for any device that you would like to see Ubuntu working on, the best thing to do is talk to the people at UB Ports who do porting to various devices. I think they've got already a massive list of devices to port to, so it's probably a good idea for people to contribute to the existing ports rather than add to the never-ending list of devices in the queue to be ported to. I did see there were some posts today about the Fairphone 2 and some bounty money available for people who want to work on porting to the Fairphone 2, which is cool. But no, I don't know that we've supported any Samsung phones recently at all, and there are tons of them as well, which makes it hard.
Next one is a bit of a fun question. Chloe Wolfie Girl asked, when will Google ditch Android to work on Ubuntu?
You'd have to ask them that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next one, Chloe asks, how are you all? How are you, Daniel?
Good.
Excellent. Don't bother asking me, that's fine. Chloe asks, what app do you want to see snapped the most? Ooh, that's a good one.
All of them, basically.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's not, I mean, it's a bit of a cop-out answer, is everything. But I'm always keen on things which are... So if you look at it from a user's point of view, when they're using Ubuntu, if they stick to LTS releases and there's some new shiny thing that comes out, whether it's a game or a new video editor or a new text editor or development tool or whatever it is, usually it's made available either as like a tarball somewhere, or there's a deb somewhere, or there's a PPA somewhere. And for an end user, like, you know, for a not deeply technical end user, that can be a bit of a barrier to installation. And so I would like to see those kinds of things which are new and shiny and interesting, and the things that users want, those things to be snapped. That doesn't necessarily mean they're desktop apps. They could be web apps. Like, for example, I was playing with a piece of software called Nicola, and it's a tool for generating a blog, static blog pages. And that's been snapped. That kind of thing. It's a command line utility. It's not a graphical application, but it means I don't have to go and add a PPA or you know, download a tarball. I don't have to compile anything. I don't have to figure out dependencies or anything nonsense like that. I just, you know, open the software center, type in Nicola, press a button, and it's installed, and I don't really have to worry about it. That kind of stuff. I also like the idea of stuff being available across different distros. So, you know, if the OpenShot guys make a snap of the OpenShot video editor, or Kdenlive make a snap of their video editor, or whatever other like desktop applications, that doesn't matter what distro you're using. The Arch people could use it, the Fedora people could use it, we could use it, and so everyone's kind of on the same version of Kdenlive. So the upstream people who are trying to help their users, you know, they can say, well, what version of Kdenlive are you using? And, you know, once this is all stable, then those people could all be using the same version of Kdenlive, rather than them having to support 5 different versions of their application across different distros. So yeah, the short answer of everything is kind of applies, really.
Yeah, very much what Poppy said. Like in the past, a lot of upstreams didn't really venture into packaging. First of all, it's hard. Like for every distro, or for every family of distros, it's somewhat different. You always need to stay on top of things, like the packaging tools. They evolve, they change. Then you have processes to follow in all of these distributions to get stuff in there. Then you have all the freeze dates for various releases. Like it's incredibly hard, and it's also a lot of testing. Like if you want to make sure that your app works really well on a lot of releases, it's just a bit of a nightmare. So with snaps, that gets a lot easier, and also the tool is a lot more pleasant to use. Basically, you write one file and figure out like what are the build dependencies, how is this part put together, blah blah blah, and then you run it. And you can even hook it up with your continuous integration. So whenever you push a new release, you're going to run it through your test machinery anyway, and then you spit out a snap, and it gets uploaded to the store afterwards. So that's just very, very, very nice. And I would really like for the upstream to see this, like, we're basically giving them the power back to define, like, this is how we want people to experience our app. And all the stuff which Alan mentioned, like all the great desktop apps, all the stuff that people basically install right after they installed Ubuntu or installed Debian or something, like all the stuff, like that's the kind of stuff that which should be in there. What I would also like to see is services. So what I really enjoyed was that the Rocket Chat people, they put together a snap of their app, which is basically like a chat server kind of thing. And it's just beautiful that now you can take whatever IoT device which is powered by snaps, be it a drone or a fridge or whatever else, like you just spin up the chat server on there and get everyone talking. Like it's just beautiful how you take one device and you just give it more functionality. So yeah, I would love to see more of those snapped and published regularly, updated all the time.
Yeah, I like the idea of those web-based applications, the ones where if you wanted to install it, you might find like a 5-page document online that tells you how to install it. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to type one command and it be installed correctly for me, like that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, I would love that.
Snap install Nextcloud, that kind of thing.
Exactly. That's exactly what I did on my home server. Snap install Nextcloud. Done. Okay. What's next? Guest 12 asks, when the transition to snaps on the phone is complete, the current apps in the store will still be available, or the maintainers must upload snap versions? I think this is a discussion that's still ongoing as to what the plan is for migration from clicks to snaps. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was cleaner for the developers to just build a snap rather than have to do any kind of migration from clicks to snaps. Clicks and snaps are very similar in concept, but the way they're built is very different. And it's probably cleaner and easier to just take your source and build a snap from it. So that's probably the easiest way to do.
Yeah, while we were figuring this out, you might want to have a look at the Snappy Playpen, because we already have like a bunch of examples, Qt 5 apps in there, and you can, in most cases, just copy and paste, adjust a few things, and you're done.
Yes, indeed. Chloe asks, when is the Ubuntu Music app expected to be a stable snap? So the apps team, headed by Bill Filler, they are working on making snaps for a whole bunch of applications that will be visible on a 16.10 Unity 8 session, so that you could have something to install and play with under Unity 8. And I think that's in progress. So I think Andrew Hazen, who worked on the music app for a long time, he's working on making that a snap. He sent me a screenshot the other day saying, hey, I've got this kind of almost working kind of. So it's currently in progress. But soon, I would imagine.
Cool. Next one is for you, also from Chloe. Will you port Pokemon Go to Ubuntu phones?
Yeah, I could single-handedly port a game that's been developed by a multi-million-dollar corporation, Niantic, to I'll get right on that.
The press release is going to go out on Thursday, right after the Ubuntu release.
Oh, okay, right, okay. No pressure.
Next one. What's going on with snaps with this federation thing?
I don't know what that question means.
Federation thing, maybe content snaps. That's the only association I have.
Don't know. Ask the question again, but differently.
Dragonbite asked, have you heard of any distributions adopting snaps yet? Let me take a look at snapcraft.io, because the list has been getting longer and longer. So we currently list Arch Linux, Debian, Gentoo, Fedora, OpenSUSE, OpenEmbedded, Yocto, and OpenWRT. So Snapd is available for all these distributions, and you basically just install it, and afterwards you go sudo snap install whatever, and it works as expected.
Cool. So I think it's not by default on those distros, but it's
Right.
easy to install, pretty straightforward to get started. So install one package and then you're done for the most part. Chloe then asks, do you hire people to make up names? I guess this is in reference to the name of the Ubuntu release. No, we don't need to do that, because our benevolent dictator for life does that job himself. And I don't think he wants to farm that out to anyone else. I think he quite likes having that role, among all the other things he does. That's not the only thing he does, but that's one of the things he does.
That's what we keep him for.
Yeah, that's the only reason he's still at the company, oh my God.
Dragonbite asked, have they decided what to do after ZZ?
Ooh, yes, that's a good question.
I think Mark also enjoys keeping the suspense. We'll see what happens. There were a
Yeah, I
bunch
mean,
of suggestions already.
yeah, we could go for aardvarks because, we could loop round, or we could go back the other way. Whenever this topic of conversation comes up, it always reminds me of the number plate system in the UK. Bear with me on this. For years, when I was young, every year when and the new number plate came out, the letter was different at the end of the number plate. It went up, every year. So 1976 was R, for example, and then the following year was S, and so on and so on. Or I may have got that year wrong. Anyway, and then when it got to Z or X, there was all this speculation about what would happen next, and so they just reversed the number plate and put the letter at the other end. And then when they got to Z again, they used numbers instead. And so, yeah, who knows? It's one of those things that it's quite nice to speculate about and make suggestions, but I have to wait and see. What's next?
Luna asked, what will happen with the current clicks when the phone will move to snaps? I think we answered that one earlier. And there's another one. Will all the phones be moved to 1604, the E4.5, E5, etc.?
I don't know what the final word on that is, but I think probably not. I don't think all of the phones are going to move to 1604, but I don't know for certain.
It's definitely something we can bring up again at the sprint, and
yeah, that plan is currently in progress, but I don't know what the final outcome is.
The next one is interesting. Guest 12 asked, John O'Bacon said in one of his YouTube reviews that Ubuntu is unlikely to be a competitor with iOS and Android. Do you share the same thoughts?
I haven't seen this video, and I don't know the context of that, or whether it's just that one line. I don't think that's an unreasonable thing to say. I don't think it's outlandish or wildly incorrect to say it, because how many millions of devices run iOS and how many millions of devices run Android right now, and how many devices run Ubuntu Phone compared to those numbers? I mean, it's not. I mean, on the phone, maybe we wouldn't be in the same, kind of ballpark as Android and iOS, but that's a gigantic market, and even having a single percentage or low double-digit percentage proportion of the market is still a ton of devices. It's still an awful lot of devices. So, yeah, maybe. I think that's one to discuss with John over a beer. I mean,
yeah, my first reaction to it is that we're not exactly in the same market. Obviously, there are phones running Ubuntu, obviously, but like what we do with Ubuntu is much broader than this. So I think that somewhat balances this. Like what we want to do with the UI on the phone and everything, we want it to be the same on the desktop, on future devices. Like so, while you might just look at the phone segment and what's happening there and compare and contrast, I think the Ubuntu story is much broader. And once Unity 8 is running on most of the desktops, like I think it's going to be much more interesting to write an app and have it running on the phone, on the desktop, and everywhere else with the same code. So I think that's going to bring much more attraction, and I think the game is going to be different there again. I know that I didn't quite answer the question, but to me it looks a bit like the question itself isn't quite capturing what's happening. Or we would sell ourselves short if we just said, okay, we're there to do phones and we're not as good as the others, and like So yeah, maybe I just agree with Jono when he says
right, and
we're not direct competitors.
I mean, you could argue that iOS isn't as popular as we are in robots, or iOS isn't as popular as we are in fridges. You know, if you want to
Servers.
segment your question down that much, then yeah, sure, it's going to be that answer. Anyway, moving on. What's the next question? From Lunar, who says, why are snaps so big? Core apps are all around 120 meg. So I think part of the reason for that is there's some features that haven't landed yet or aren't quite as refined yet, which allow us to separate out some of the reusable parts into a common layer. And that would enable us to ship, for example, the Qt 5 libraries that are used by each of the core apps as a thin layer. And then when you install each of the applications, they can use those libraries without having to have them bundled inside the snap. And that'll be the same for the KDE developers who will want to bundle the KDE libraries together in their layer, and then each of the applications can use those libraries. And similarly for Elementary, there are components that they will want to have common across all their applications, and the same for other desktops as well. And Daniel mentioned this with Unity 8 earlier, teasing out some of those libraries that we're currently duplicating across some of the snaps, and putting those in a shared content snap would enable us to save a lot of space within those snaps. And we're working on that, and that will come.
Yeah, people are currently experimenting with that. There was a blog post from Mike, who had been working with Harald Zitter from the KDE project, and they had like a Qt 5 snap, a content snap. This is the thing that shares libraries and stuff with other snaps. And I think it was kcalc or something, like a calculator. And the resulting kcalc snap was like 300K. So you can see the difference there already. Why this is moving a bit more slowly is because basically as soon as you put out a content snap where you say, okay, this is Qt 5 or this is KDE 5, people start relying on it. Like, and when you then start moving things around or maybe removing a library because you think, okay, this is not needed, then like you need to be relatively certain that this is something that people can depend on. And we're going to have some discussions at the sprint, figuring out like what needs to go where. And I'm sure there's going to be more stable content snap soon, and the size of snap is going to shrink a lot.
Super stuff. Next question is from Dragonbite. Who does the modifications to desktop apps to be responsive between phone, tablet, desktop modes? The upstream developers or Ubuntu? For example, who fixes GIMP or Digicam to respond and work in a phone format? So I'm not sure it makes sense necessarily to try and take what I'll call traditional desktop apps. So think traditional apps are those things that you use at the moment. So the LibreOffice, the GIMP, Kden Live, OpenShot. I don't think it makes a lot of sense for those apps to be crowbarred down onto a phone form factor, because the buttons are tiny, the controls are difficult to use. It's designed for a mouse pointer and a keyboard and a higher resolution, larger display. So I think the question is based on an incorrect premise that would happen. I don't think that would necessarily happen. It might be that you install GIMP on your phone, but you actually use it plugged into an external display with a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse. So at the moment when it's plugged into your display, then you can use it. But as soon as you pull the cable out, you might get a GIMP window. But I wouldn't expect the upstream GIMP developers to modify that, or us to modify it to work on such a small screen. That doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, for a long time, people have had Linux on portable devices, and it's been fun to install those apps, and it's a little bit quirky and a little bit weird, and you can get those apps working. Like LibreOffice does run on the phone, but it's a horrible experience, so you basically wouldn't. It's not optimized for that. So newer generations of apps written with newer toolkits with those form factors in mind probably would be written like that from the get-go. So the Unity 8 apps are written like that from day one to work on multiple form factors. Whereas an app that was written 10 years ago or more that uses WX widgets or has their own toolkit or uses GTK2, I don't expect that to ever be updated to work on a phone. I would expect that to be a rewrite or a new version or some new generation of that app to be made for a phone.
That's good. Next one is interesting because Luna asked, what snaps do you use?
Ooh.
And maybe you guys in the audience can also let us know what are your favorite snaps? Which do you currently have installed and what do you do with them?
Should we take it in turns? Do 3 or something? You, me?
Sure. So yeah, one I use quite often is...
Are you going to steal the one that I was going to say? I know you are.
Probably.
Yeah.
But one I use quite a lot is one Alan put together. It's emoji. It's beautiful. Basically, you start typing something, and it will spit out a couple of emojis to go along with the with whatever you type. It's just very nice to just copy and paste in conversations. It's brilliant. And also, like, was it hard to snap?
No. It's probably the easiest thing I've ever snapped. It's an upstream project. It's on GitHub. It's called Emoj, EMOJ, and I created a Snapcraft YAML for it, and it's a Node.js thing, and all it does is take input from the keyboard. It's a command line utility. It takes input from the keyboard, and it queries some online big data machine learning thing to figure out what your words probably mean and figure out what the best emoji characters are. So you can just type emoji and then any word you like. I've just pasted one on IRC, emoji happy, and you get happy smiley faces and all kinds of other things. And I submitted it upstream as a pull request on GitHub, and the upstream developer said, I'm not really interested in maintaining packages for my projects. He just puts them all on GitHub. But feel free to do it yourself. So I thought, okay. So I made a snap and I put it in the store. So now you can just do sudo snap install emoj, EMOJ, and then you can type emoj and then any word you like, and it will just spit out a bunch of emoji for you. Or you can type emoj and press enter, and then just type words and backspace, type words, backspace, and it'll do it interactively. It's very stupid, but it's quite good fun. So yeah,
Brilliant.
I'll let you have that one. So looking through the list of snaps that I have installed, which is quite a lot. How many have I got? Snap list, word count. 53 snaps installed on my laptop. Some of them are ones that I'm currently working on, so they're not actually in the store. One of the ones that I use is a program called Nixnote. And it's a note-taking application that's compatible with Evernote. So if you have an Evernote account and you synchronize your notes to Evernote, Nixnote is quite good. It's not in the store yet, but it's one that I use. Your turn.
Sure. So one I like a lot, which is probably not documented very well, is the classic snap.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, what you need to do for it to run is you do snap install --edge, I think --dev mode classic. So that's a bit of a barrier there, but what it gives you is you type classic and then you get a classic Ubuntu shell within a snap system. That sounds a bit Inception-like, but it's good for a couple of reasons. The first one is like if you're on an ARM device, for example, and you have a beautiful old snap system like Ubuntu core system on there, you can't install app dependencies, you can't do a build or something, but it's just very, very simple. You install the classic snap, run classic, and then off you go. You do all the compilation and everything else. So that's just very nice to use, and it also shares the same data, so you can make some adjustments there and see how they work out, and then go back to snappy mode, and that's it.
Yep, I use that one as well. That's a good one. On my Pi, I've got a few Pis just out of shot down here, a couple of Pi 2s and a Pi 3, and I have Classic installed on those as a snap, and I use that for building ARM-based applications. It's quite a good idea. It's that's really useful. So my turn. The next one I use is Nextcloud, and I run Nextcloud on my home server, and I have the Nextcloud app on my family's devices. So my daughter has the Nextcloud app, and so when she takes photos, the Nextcloud app automatically uploads those to my home server, and so she can store her photos on the home server and doesn't have to worry about them going up to the cloud or wherever they go to, our cloud at home. And that's just a snap install Nextcloud. And I've also bought a Nextcloud box, which I'm told shipped on Friday, so should be arriving sometime this week. So I might migrate away from my home server and move it all onto a Nextcloud box, which is this really nice little black box that you put a Raspberry Pi in, and it's just got a terabyte hard drive in it, and it's just nice and small and compact that I can hide somewhere in the house, and that can be our little backup cloud storage.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Your turn.
Snap Code Labs.
Ooh, good one.
Yep. Snap-Code Labs is something Didier Roche and I worked on. It's basically, if you don't know the Code Labs on the internet, like you can learn how to, build stuff in Android and build an app there and that kind of thing. But we did the same thing for snaps. So first of all, how to they're basically step-by-step tutorials. Like they tell you, okay, this is going to take 15 more minutes. This is going to take 10 minutes, and it takes you step-by-step through how to use snaps, and also how to build some snaps of your own. And we're going to add more tutorials, more code labs to them, and it's just very simple. You install the snap and then put your browser to it, and then off you go.
Cool. My last one is which one should I pick? I'm going to pick Micropolis, which is a game very much like SimCity. It's you manage a sim. I like that whole God thing of like managing a city, and then when you're getting bored, like nuke it from orbit and walk away. So I like that. So it's a good game. So yeah, those are our snaps. And I ask us again next week, and they might be different. You never know.
Yeah, definitely.
So what's the next question? Next one's from Dragonbite. Can you run Docker container in Docker running a snap? I don't know. I don't know much about Docker, I'm afraid. So I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay, let's move on then. We've only got 5 minutes left, so where are we?
There was a follow-up to a previous question. Dragonbite says, for desktop apps on mobile, the idea was Shotwell to view pictures on the phone and then larger format for viewing your catalog or editing pictures in desktop mode.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, if there was like a cut-down version of Shotwell that ran on the phone, I could say, yeah, that would need modification. It's probably not something we would do unless it became like a default app on the phone or something, or we decided, it was that good an experience that we wanted to have it as a default app upstream, or someone sufficiently motivated would have to do that. Dragonbite asks an interesting question. Are there any programming languages for apps to be developed in that work better or worse with being snapped? So in my experience, the things that I've found easier to snap are things that have been written in C or C++ and use auto tools to build, like traditional auto toolsy type stuff. So things like FFmpeg, that was like stupidly easy for me to create a snap of, because all I do is point to the upstream source, give it the necessary configure flags and all the dependencies that FFmpeg needs. Boom, it built. The things that I find hard to snap are Node applications, where the Node developers use strange, quirky build systems, and often they do some of the build not during the build time, but actually at runtime. The part of the like setup process happens while you're building the snap, and then when you try and run it, it then tries to go and do some more modifications after you first try and run it, and those I find a bit problematic. That's personally speaking.
Yeah, same here. I think in general, like I've found Node snaps which were easy to do,
Right.
Go stuff which was super easy, like loads of them. Like I think in general, the closer you stick to, how the build process was designed, the easier it's going to be to build a snap from it. Also, yeah, sorry.
Go on.
I was just about to say, like, also, like, having things relocatable. Like, sometimes upstream developers make assumptions about where stuff is going to live later on. So they go, okay, I'm going to write this /user/share something. That's obviously not going to work in the snap world. So I think that's the point which would sometimes break the snapping experience, but you can always talk to upstreams or work around it somehow.
Right. And as a counter argument to my Node.js ones are hard, the emoji one was like the easiest snap I'd ever made, and that was a Node.js app. So yeah, it really depends. Like you say, if they stick to the upstream build process, then some of the ones that I've found difficult, things like there's a couple of emulators that I wanted to package, and they look for their icon or look for images in user share games or somewhere like that, and it would need patching to work as a snap, that kind of stuff. So yeah. Any more questions?
Yeah, here's one from, I think we skipped one earlier. There was one about
sorry.
no, I think it was me who skipped it. Yeah, Chloe Wolfiger asked, what's your favorite way of communicating? Telegram, email, SMS, Wired, Matrix, XMPP, Tox, or God knows what else is out nowadays. I feel exactly the same way. Matrix, I've never heard of. Like Wired, do I know?
So on my Android phone, in the chat thing, there are 11 chat apps, 11 distinct chat apps on my Android phone. It's insane. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. And I have to use a different one to talk to different people. So yeah, it's quite bonkers. I tend to prefer Telegram because it works everywhere, and I like it. I like the desktop app. So yeah, generally Telegram myself, but yeah, others are cool.
Yeah, SMS usually works for everyone.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, Guest 12 asked, how's the refreshing of scopes going? If you look back a couple of weeks, we had a session with Uni, and who else was it? Was it Suffolk? So yeah, you might want to take a look at that one because we answered it quite in depth there. So
excellent.
I think that was the missing questions.
Marlborough 1950 asks, when can we see Ring on the phone, a video chat conference currently running on the desktop? So yeah, I have Ring installed. I've not spent much time looking at it. I haven't actually used it, but it seems like quite a neat application. It's a free software voice and video chat type thing. If someone ports it, then yeah, we could see it as a click on the phone. I don't think we're planning on doing anything with Ring specifically, but if someone else wanted to, that would be awesome.
Yeah, you could also snap it, because then it's going to work on the desktop and later on the phone.
Yeah, cool. Okay, I think we've exhausted all the questions just in time as we approach the end of the hour. Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks a lot, Poppy, and thanks everyone for your questions.
Yes, Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you next time. If you want to know when the next one of these will be, then the best thing to do is to subscribe to the Ubuntu On Air YouTube channel and the Twitter account and Google Plus and all that lark, or just lurk in the Ubuntu On Air IRC channel and wait for it to get busy, which is typically around about 1500 UTC on a Tuesday. Might be a bit different next week because, as we said earlier, we're at a sprint. So we might have to move the Q&A, but we'll announce it all over the social media and let everyone know when that will be closer to the time.
Excellent.
Cool. All right. I look forward to seeing you next week, Daniel.
Same here.
See you later, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.